seeing that it's now 6 o'clock, I call the November 21st, 2016 City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnett? Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Abbott?
Yeah.
Mr. Alt? Mr. Eggers?
Here.
Mr. Fox?
Here.
Mr. Wertz?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. If you would please, invocation of pledge, if you would please, Mr. Wertz.
Let's bow our head. Father, be with this city as we conduct a business to make us a successful city. Be with our military men and women around the world who protect our freedoms. Be with our fire and police as they're our first responders to protect our city and citizens. Allow us to handle the many challenges that come before the council and make good decisions for our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any announcements, public comments? Large crowd tonight, if anybody had. Consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda. Sorry. Including minutes.
Motion by Eggers, second by Fox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Old business. All of the following are set for public hearing and for a vote if you gentlemen so choose.
We make a motion to read by title only.
Second.
Motion by Word, second by Eggers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. First item is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 1620, a budgetary ordinance authorizing an additional appropriation to transfer from general fund to fire 100 salaries and wages for overtime and Medicare in the amount of $36,000. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, Chief McAgee presented the situation. It's before him right now with the fire department. Here we are, a few weeks left yet in the year, so this will hopefully get them through the end of the year.
Hopefully.
Any other,
Yeah.
any other questions or comments?
I'd make a motion to approve unless we have to do public.
Public, yeah. All open up to public comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Adams, second by Austin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is Common Council Ordinance 1612, an ordinance creating the local road and bridge matching grant fund. I know Ms. Rhodes is on here. I can answer any questions. If you remember, the next two or three actually are all, the next three, including this one, are all pertaining to the same $1 million grant we received from the state. Needed to have its own fund established. So those funds can then be deposited into that, also with our local match on that as well.
You want each one of these have to be read separate?
Yes. So I'll open it up to public comment. Ordinance 1612. Hearing none, we'll close that.
Move to approve ordinance number 1612.
Second.
Motion by Eggers, second by Wertz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is Common Council Budgetary Resolution Number 1609, a budgetary resolution authorizing a transfer from Fund 257, Lowit Special Distribution, to Fund 258, Local Road and Bridge Matching Grant Fund, in the amount of $1 million. As you can see, this was tabled from a previous meeting, just because this was a resolution. You could have voted on it last time, but there was no fund established under 258 to put it in, so it was tabled. If you remember earlier, even earlier in the year, we received about $2.4 million back from the state from our income tax distribution. At that time, you all created the Fund 257 where all those dollars were put in. Now we need to transfer out $1 million from that into 258, which is our match for Center Street, Central Avenue, Wayne Street, and our 2016 paving program. Was all funded through those dollars. So this resolution is just transferring from 257 to 258.
Move to approve budgetary resolution 1609.
Second. Motion by Eggers, second by Adams. I will open it to public hearing.
Oh, sorry about that.
Hearing none. We'll close that. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1621, an additional appropriation from local road and bridge matching grant fund in the amount of $1 million. Again, this is all tied in together with more government work we get to do, pay for roads. Any public comments, questions? Hearing none.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Austin, second by Abbott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then the next is new business. These first two items you can't act on tonight if you choose. The following three after that are just for introduction only.
Mayor,
Hold on just a second. We get a motion to read by title only.
oh, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hager, second by Wertz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Austin. I'll
No.
first one, then I'll turn it over to you. Actually, you'll probably take over the next two. Common Council Resolution number 1620, a resolution waiving non-compliance with tax abatement compliance requirements by Falkenberg Printing. Ms. Linky is out this evening with strep throat, so Mr. Austin is stepping in.
Well, as a representative on the Economic Development Commission, we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting. Falkenberg Printing's been an absolute great vendor for the city of Franklin, but unfortunately, this was their first year of to fill out the proper paperwork. It's my understanding in that some of the smaller companies that are struggling with internally to do that themselves. So they had failed to fill out, I think it's one particular piece of paper, so it wasn't filled out properly or was not filled out. So they had to have a request for non-compliance. So we've done this before, guys, where we've found them in substantial compliance before. And again, Mayor, you may want to expand on
Yeah,
that.
they actually even exceeded what they originally stated they were gonna spend. For personal property and real property, they've exceeded that amount. They're also well on their way to hiring their required number of people over that 4-year period. In addition, just kind of a side note, I mentioned this to the Economic Development Commission, when we meet last week or the week before, that they have been, when we talk about companies being community partners, they really have. They've stepped up. They've done a lot of printing for us here at the city, and oftentimes, yes, Ms. Rhodes is holding up one of them right now, the flyer that many of you have gotten familiar in seeing with the construction project in it. In addition, they did some pads and some different things. Some notepads they printed for us and actually threw in a few hundred of them at no cost. And that already was at a very drastically reduced price to begin with. And they've really been great. So,
I stated, Mayor, that was the first year, and that is not correct. This is the second year mistake.
The issue is that the county won't recognize it unless they get a waiver from us, and that's why it's that, right?
Yes, sir.
We've done waivers before on various different ones.
Yes, sir.
This is one.
For non-compliant, and
Right.
it's a lot of form more than substance.
Roger that.
I move to approve Common Council Resolution number 1620.
Second.
motion by Fox, second by Abbott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is request approval of economic development fees. Again, I'll turn it over to Mr. Austin.
We have received a letter from most all of the nonprofits, local nonprofits. I know that the economic development fees that we collect on behalf of those companies, I know in the years past, what we've done is kind of split that up somewhat evenly, as best we possibly can for the candidates. Discover Downtown would be an example. So what they have done is they've approached the city with multiple letters from each organization stating that they would like to see the economic development impact fees go towards the co-op that the city has been investigating with the school corporation and some of the other leaders in the city and surrounding. I guess it's not just the school corporation in the city, but anyway, the monies that collected for the economic development impact fees have been asked to, this year, to take that total amount, it's about $26,000. Again, that we would normally split up to the nonprofits here locally, and take that total amount and move it towards getting the co-op off the ground and get some of the fees involved in getting that started. Joe, you may want to elaborate on that as well, or not.
Yeah, no, I'm more happy to. Excuse me, yeah, typically, as Mr. Austin said, that those dollars have usually been split up between the various nonprofits. This year, we're much further down the road than we have been in the past. We've actually partnered with Franklin Community Schools and Dr. Clendenning and Jeff Mercer, Bill Doty, and Matt Sprout have all been very helpful in us tackling the co-working concept and that idea and trying to get it off the ground. And as we've worked through a lot of Six Sigma tools and processes with that group, and some of the things that we've come up with are, of course, we need some startup funding to get this going, and to help it be an extension of the Franklin Development Corporation, which is, to me, it's a true economic development catalyst. We're trying to encourage and really kind of spur on some entrepreneurial spirit. Really is what we're trying to do. Whether it's a college student, whether it's a high school student, or whether it's a 75-year-old individual that's had this dream, but they've always worked somewhere, but they've always had this idea or this concept, but they just wanted to get it out there. And so we have a really good opportunity coming up, and this ballpark of $26,000 would go a long way, particularly in the next few months with accounting, legal fees, and some of these other things to kind of get it up off the ground. Which then, ultimately, I think there's some residual benefit to a lot of those entities that normally would have gotten these dollars, the Chamber, Johnson County Development Corporation. Hopefully we have additional folks in downtown, which maybe helps with Discover Downtown Franklin, things like that. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I know you've heard co-working, you've read it in the paper and heard us talking about it. I think we're all getting a lot closer to reality.
Who's going to be administrative? I guess I was taking care of the books, financial.
Yeah, so what we've come up with, and this is, it's kind of amazing, the whole Six Sigma process and how we've been able to work with the schools on where we've started and where we're at today, because I could probably tell you that if we were still trying to come up with this on our own, would still be beating our head against that wall. It flushes out a lot of information that you either hadn't thought of or you maybe kind of just dismissed. And so what we've come up with is kind of taking on let's not reinvent the wheel here. So let's look at there's about 40 co-working spaces across the state, and we've taken a look at probably 25 to 30 of them and visited many. And one of them that we really like the way that it's set up is called the Matchbox, which is in Lafayette. And the way it is set up is it's set up under the umbrella of a nonprofit. And their community is a little bit more unique in that their Chamber of Commerce and their version of our Johnson County Development Corporation actually merged several years ago. It's just called the Greater Lafayette Commerce. And so that's the nonprofit entity that is kind of the umbrella underneath this. And so how it would look would be, the Franklin Development Corporation would be the nonprofit board that they operate underneath. However, there is a completely separate board or committee, if you will, that handles the day-to-day operations of that. For example, there's the mayor has appointments, the chamber has appointments, the school has an appointment, the Franklin College. There's 7 or 9, I can't remember off the top of my head, with the organizational chart that we put together of folks that have have a voice in this. It's very similar to what Lafayette has done. We're trying to remove government from this as much as we possibly can, knowing though and understanding that there's going to have to be some investment from the city, whether it's the redevelopment commission, city, whomever that may be. But we're trying to remove that government stronghold. That's what happened to Fishers, Launch Fishers the very first time around. It failed. The mayor there will tell you that it failed because there was too much government involvement. And so they kind of kicked it back, regrouped, brought in some entrepreneurs to help them get it started, and now we're at the Launch Fishers that just moved from 16,000 square feet to 52,000 square feet because they didn't have enough space for their 750 members.
Pretty significant.
Lafayette, Matchbox, they are at right around 225 to 230 members, and they just celebrated their 2-year anniversary. So their 2-year goal was 100 members, so they wanted to double. And they have 1.5 employees, they have 1 full-time and a part-time staff member. I think right now we're probably looking at a full-time staff member, and can also share some, it would be an FTC employee, but would help share some roles and responsibilities that the FTC is also looking for. The goal tentatively right now depends on where it is. We don't have a where yet, but if it's feasible, the goal would be fall of 2017. But like I said, if we get into a building that is a shell building, then it may be a little bit longer. That's the goal we've established at this point.
So Mayor, you need us to approve this request to use these
Right.
funds, okay?
Yeah, it came back from the EDC as a unanimous recommendation to the city council to allocate those dollars to the FDC. They would set up a separate line item, if you will. I know you're familiar, take a look at their dollars. They would have a separate line item just established just for co-working, and it would just only be spent for co-working expenses. Together.
I would make that motion to approve that.
Second.
We have a motion by Fox, second by Akers. Any other comments or questions?
Guys, this was the one-time deal, so it's not automatic every year. This, next year we'll be
Right.
looking at where we would be, giving those fees to.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, again, these are for introduction. More than welcome to ask questions, but the first item is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1617, budgetary ordinance repealing or replacing budgetary ordinance number 1610, fixing and authorizing the payment of certain salaries of appointed officers and employees for year 2017, Civil City. Again, I promise you we would bring this back. This was 6 weeks ago or longer, with the adjustments in pay for those between 30 and 40 and 40 and 50, the 2%, 1% increase. And so, so this is the Civil City version of that, and those salaries will be reflected in there.
That was in mid-January. We make a move
You'll actually approve the
in
ordinance,
December.
correct, in December, and then we can come back in January, February, and
Yeah.
allocate additional dollars.
Sounds good.
This just allows Stephanie and Brooke looking for Treasurer's Office to make sure that the salaries are established, so when that first payroll hits in January, because we won't have a meeting before then. So again, it's just introduction. If you guys have any questions, the very next one is the same, it's just sewer utility. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1618, a budgetary ordinance repealing and replacing budgetary ordinance number 1611, fixing and authorizing the payment of certain salaries of appointed officers and employees for year 2017. This is sewer utility. Same thing applies. Next item is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1619, a budgetary ordinance repealing and replacing budgetary ordinance number 1612, fixing the annual salaries and providing compensation for all elected officials of the city of Franklin, Indiana for year 2017. Any questions, comments about any of those? Any other business?
Mayor, you mentioned before, I didn't get to the Board of Works meeting, but the 2016 paving program, how are we coming along with this year's paving program? Are we halfway finished? Are we a quarterly finished?
Oh, no, yeah, one of the things that we've added, and this was at the Board of Works meeting tonight, is the 2016, we initially were not gonna do an alley paving program this year. We did last year, we were gonna do it this year, a couple of reasons. One, we were uncertain about dollars, and two, Travis had more than enough on his plate to handle. And so we kind of put it on the back burner. However, the funding came through with the state, and so we decided we're going to go ahead and bid it out. That won't start until the spring for the alley program. It was the highest, the lowest and most responsive bid came in to Milestone, and it was $466,000 worth of alleys to be tackled next spring. Dollars are there. We just need to encumber them over into 2017. Approve that contract tonight. So nothing has been completed on that end. On the paving program end of things, They should be finished by now. If not, I know I saw them out crack sealing on Friday. So there's still some crack sealing, main sealing, and those kind of things to be taken care of. But as far as I know, the mill and overlay portion of component of that is completed. Center and Central is still going on, over there off of North Main. Wayne Street, of course, is still going on. Jefferson Street should be opened up by Thanksgiving, which is 2 days. Which, by the way, I want to give a quick plug to my predecessor, Fred Paris, with Triple Play Barbecue. He's been phenomenal, actually, throughout this entire process. He invited all of the construction workers in today and fed them for lunch. He's been awesome. So I couldn't have asked for a better situation working with him right in the middle of, he really was at ground zero. But should be opened up. King Street also will be opened up by then. Matter of fact, they're doing pavement markings now. And signal installation was going on today. They had to go temporary. The light poles weren't all the way completely fabricated and in yet. That'll happen sometime later in December. But instead of keeping the road shut down, we encouraged the contractor to bring in temporary lights so we can get Main and Jefferson and Jackson Street back up.
It's pretty ingenious how they did that.
Trailers with solar panels and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just scissor jack or whatever they call that machine.
So those are temporary, they'll be gone, we hope, mid to late December, weather permits. We went from 70 to 30 in one day, so I can't promise anything.
Thank you for update.
Sure.
The comment I have, Joe, was coming in off of 65 on King Street, and just it's just incredible how well it looks and stuff like that, so I'm really happy.
It's exciting to all see it come around and start to see a little bit of,
It looks good. It makes you want to come with beyond it.
spring, we'll tear it up again. So everything, I couldn't be happier actually. It's been on schedule, if not ahead of schedule, both projects, and so it's been going along really well. Knock on wood. Any other council comments?
Joe, would you elaborate? I think the Winter Festival is December 3rd.
Yes, Saturday, December 3rd. Check your social media for the times and all the information, unless Julie has some out there, but the parade, of course, is usually right around dusk. And then the lighting is at what, 7:30?
It's at 7.
7?
The parade's at 5:30.
There you go. So, and then the winter market, I know that everyone's excited because Elks has even done more to the upstairs, and there's some permanent lighting and restrooms and those kind of things, so there's a lot of excitement. Good fun day. Yeah, it's always fun parade, it's dark, get some lights around.
Joe, there's
Motion
one.
to adjourn.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I can just tell them this after. That's fine. Second.
Motion by Word, second by Ayers, all in favor?
Aye.